Hail to all. Hail to all. How's everyone doing today on this happy 4th of July? How's the chat doing? How you doing? We got bowlestrek with us. We got Wes. Everybody give a welcome to bowlestrek.
Hi, everyone. How goes things? And happy 4th of July to all my American friends.
All right. Thank you.
Hail.
Hail, chat.
Hail.
Hail, Bear. Hail bowlestrek. Looks like we've got a pretty fun show lined up here.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Voyagers, The Year of Hell, Part 1 and Part 2.
All right. That is definitely...
And whatever else we go off on a tangent.
Could happen.
Yeah. So let's get rid of that. So yeah, that's the Wes says that song should be the channel's theme song. Yeah. And I was putting together a song today. It ain't quite polished yet, but it's called Sitting in My Underwear. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I used to have theme music. If you look back at my old videos, I had a whole intro. I turfed that, I don't know, about 10 years ago. Well, once upon a time, I had a theme song.
So yeah, I got the, I went through the process of creating the intros and outros for my videos. And I swear it was like learning a science because I had to get Cyberlink Power Director. And let me get rid of some of these windows, getting a little cluttered. And so it was like learning a whole different science, how to create the intros, all the particles that went to the intros, and particle pieces that were several different pieces that made one. And part of that little band thing you see where the band playing and all the stuff going on in the background, there's like 30 different particles in that alone. And so basically after I got everything set up, I stopped having to do that every time, and I had a couple of different things I could use, and it pretty much cinched the intro. And then I found a stained glass, or not a stained glass, neon light filter I run an image through it, and it makes it look like neon light. Pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good effect. Works with the music pretty well.
So yeah, on this particular episode, these 2 episodes, I gotta say, man, it had everything that I really wanted in a Star Trek episode. They took chances. They practically destroyed the ship.
Yeah, they did destroy it.
Yeah, they did in the end. Well, had you seen the episode before, or was this your first time through it?
Oh, I've seen it several times. This is the
yeah.
first time that I've actually talked about it in a live stream.
Yeah. No, this was the first time in probably about 10 years I'd watched this 2-parter.
Yeah, because I had been watching this and prepping for it because it was something that I wanted to do, and I believe it or not, there is a really good wiki that talks about this episode. I mean, the main character was Anorax of the Crenum Imperium. Man, that guy was sadistic.
I thought he was kind of a tragic figure myself. I did love that Kurtwood Smith was playing him.
Yeah, Red Foreman. And this was about a year before he played Red Foreman. So this was actually the first time I'd seen Kurtwood Smith. So when that 70s show first premiered, all I could think of was Anorak.
You know,
I'm surprised you didn't think. I'm surprised you didn't think of his role in RoboCop, because that's what I always thought of every time I saw Kurtwood Smith, Clarence Bodiger.
That occurred to me after the fact too. Although when this aired in '97, I don't think I'd seen RoboCop in like 6 or 7 years, so that hadn't even occurred to me.
Yeah, first time I seen Red Foreman's character in that '70s show, I thought Federation president.
Yep.
He played a long white-haired Federation president, and what alien species was he in that?
I don't think they ever clarified.
Country.
I don't know. I don't know what species he was. He looked vaguely Klingonish, but he wasn't one of those.
No. And did you guys know there is a director's cut of Undiscovered Country?
I wasn't that released at one point on DVD?
It's on Amazon.
I actually own it. Yeah, there are just some subtle differences. I actually like the theatrical cut better myself, but like the part where Spock is mind melding Valeris, instead of him, it being one long scene of them just reading off the names, it cuts and it goes dong, and a bell chimes, and you see like General Chang or the Ambassador Dankless. I preferred the original myself.
Honestly, I really couldn't tell the difference because I watched them both. I probably just subtle differences, but
very subtle.
Both are good. So I had never seen the director's cut, and so I have it on Amazon Prime. I got the digital copy. I've got my eye out for the physical copy.
I think it was on the special edition DVD, which I was dumb because I had the special editions of the first 10 movies. Then when they announced that the Blu-ray was coming out, I sold them. And when the Blu-rays did come out, no different cuts of the movies. Most of the extras were gone. They were DNR'd to heck. They're the same Blu-ray covers that they've been packaging since 2000. The only one that wasn't a mess was Star Trek II, which was the only one that had gotten a new transfer. But the transfers that you're watching, if you watch any of the first the original 6 Star Trek episodes, they were transfers that were originally done in 2000 for DVD. And then they were badly upscaled for Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm going to be keeping my eye out for those.
For years, they were cheap. You could get them for like $5. Now they're out of print, so I think they're fetching collector's prices, which sucks.
Oh, wow.
DVDs?
Yeah.
When 2004 was the first time that the Star Wars trilogy came out on DVD, and then in 2008 there was a special edition, and I'm not sure, but I think that might have been can't remember if that was DVD or in Blu-ray. I think both were available. But I got the one that had Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader fighting, because that's the one that's got the original uncut movies.
Yeah, they were included as an extra, not anamorphic, just letterbox, but still it's the best
bonus disc. And when I got it, there's a way that I can zoom in my TV screen, and I had to do that in order to, because otherwise it was just a small picture within a picture, and I had to zoom it in so I could see it. And I'm kind of hoping that they're going to release unaltered edition.
It's not likely to happen anytime soon. The extras that were included on those, the letterboxes, they were actually the letterbox versions of the 1995 VHS releases just put onto DVD. But the problem with the Star Wars movies in terms of getting the originals is that when George Lucas Lucasified them, what I want to call it, back in the late 90s, he actually cut up the original print. So the film actually needs to be reassembled to do a proper 4K transfer of the original film. So right now, they only exist in the latest bastardized version, although they royally screwed up the 4K releases as well, because they DNR'd them to death and removed all the film grain, so they actually look horrible.
So when they removed the film grain, did it make everything look like it was too shiny?
It makes everything look waxy, because apparently the theory was they wanted them to look like the newer films as if they were shot digitally. But that's not the point, because film collectors, which the only people that buy 4K are, people like myself, actual film collectors, we want the perfect representation of the film as it was originally. We don't want it DNR'd. So good job, Disney. You screwed that up too.
Now, for you, what does DNR'd mean?
What DNR is, it's digital noise reduction.
Okay.
So, when you have older film prints, you'll see the graininess, which the grain it's the film itself. It's meant to look grainy. Old films are meant to look grainy. So what they've done with some Blu-rays, and there are some really bad examples of this. The original release of Patton, the original Blu-ray release of Terminator 2, all the Star Trek movies. What they do is they run it through a filter to remove the grain. But what happens when they remove the grain, because the detail is in the grain itself, is it lessens the detail of the picture. So that's why when you look at certain early release Blu-rays, they actually look worse than DVD, and everything looks like a wax statue. That's because they use digital noise reduction. Whereas companies like Scream Factory, Arrow Video, Shout Video, Vinegar Syndrome, the boutique labels, when they release something, they keep it as close to the original print as possible and leave the film grain intact. And that's what video collectors want. And older films can look amazing on 4K. I think one of the best transfers I've ever seen was The Shining, the Kubrick Shining movie, which they kept the film grain, kept everything. It looks absolutely incredible. And that's what film collectors want to see. But Star Wars...
Yeah, we want to see the patina a little bit here and there.
Yeah, you want to see the original character, the original flavor of the film. And that's why we hate DNR. And that's why the latest release of the Star Wars films was a travesty. If you have the Blu-ray releases released prior to the Lucasfilm buyout, get those. They actually look better than the 4Ks. The 4Ks actually look terrible. And what's even worse is episode 1 and 2 are probably the worst examples, because episode 1, well, all of episode 1, 2, and 3, they were very heavy on the CGI, but especially in episode 1, which wasn't shot digitally. It was shot partially on film, partially CGI. And it's so bad that some scenes actually look like they're out of focus. So they just destroyed the films. Unless you want to buy current Star Wars, which I'm sure looks fine, which I have no desire to get whatsoever, except for Rogue One. I like that movie, but the other 4 can run off and die.
Yeah.
I thought Rogue One was the best of the Disney movies. However, I do think it has some serious problems as far as the plot of the Death Star is concerned.
Yeah.
I thought the whole point of Lucas's original trilogy was that the Empire was arrogant and that they could never conceive of a small fighter going in there and destroying the Death Star, and that it was an oversight, and that was how they were destroyed, not Stardust or Hannibal Lecter and Stardust or whatever. Yeah.
I think what's good about Rogue One, if you take it as a standalone science fiction movie, it's a good movie. If you look at it within the Star Wars universe, it's the same as everything since the Disney buyout. There are definitely issues. Yeah. And Problem Being was also an extra on Rogue One.
All right. Hail Problem Being.
Hail.
He's in the chat. We were streaming earlier today.
Ah.
Which scene was it? Problem Being?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll come up in a second. There's about a 30-second delay, I think, between us and them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a StreamYard is really good for that. Because when you end a stream, there's at least a 5-second delay. If you continue talking, they're going to hear what you're saying in private.
Yeah, and it depends. Sometimes the delay will be a couple seconds. Sometimes the delay will be up to a minute.
Wow.
So he was working for the Empire. Yeah, he was on the base station.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And got to experience Kathleen Kennedy in person.
Oh, boy. I bet you that's some good stories.
Actually, he does, although I don't know how many of them he's allowed to tell.
Oh, okay.
But he witnessed some interesting things.
Interesting. And greetings, indeed. Yeah.
I'm picturing lots of foul language and maybe, maybe cannibalism.
The interesting thing about like going back and getting DVDs that maybe at one time, maybe you have somewhere, but you just can't find them. And I have a LG upscaling 4K Blu-ray player, and so pretty much any DVD that I put in there, it normally looks twice as better. And when I first got my, so I got 2 copies of the original trilogy. The one when it first came out on DVD, and then the one that I believe it's either DVD or it's Blu-ray. I can't remember, but it's the one with the unaltered special editions on the bonus disc.
Yeah, no, those are the DVDs. That's the only time they were released. Was the standalones, and those are actually worth money now, and it sucks. For years I didn't buy them. They were in bargain bins. Now they are a collector's item, all 3 of them.
I paid $48.
I remember them in the bargain bin at Walmart probably about 10 years ago for $5 a piece. I didn't pick them up, and now I'm kicking myself.
Yeah, it's like I've seen some gems in the bargain bin, $5, and anytime I see Star Trek or Star Wars in a bargain bin, I'm gonna grab it. Got to grab that.
I think the best find I have in my collection, from bargain bin to collectors, was the only Blu-ray release of the original Dawn of the Dead. It was actually, I found it in the bargain bin at Best Buy around 2010 for $5. It was quickly taken out of print. It was never released again in Region 1 on Blu-ray. That Blu-ray itself now will go for as high as $400 or $500.
Wow.
Which I think might be one of the most valuable, maybe the most valuable Blu-ray in my collection. But yeah, I wish I had those Star Wars.
Hey, RR, if I was in a situation like that, I'd probably get fired because I'd probably take a marker and cross out the female part and put everyone.
Yeah, that will get you canceled in 2020.
Yeah, I probably would have got fired because
you're a racist and a sexist. You said everyone.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah.
You know,
people.
egalitarian, everybody. Yeah.
People kind, I believe we call it people kind now.
Oh.
Unless you're not a person, you can identify as a chair if you want. So everything. Okay, I think that's safe.
Well, I can tell you, there's been a time or two where I felt like a chair.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's normally because the ale was really good and the chair felt good.
Nice.
And getting up seemed like a really bad idea. Back in the youth, when you had one too many beers, and it's like, if I get up out of this chair, I'm going to do one thing, plant myself in the ground. Yep. Face first. And so, yeah, getting up out of the chair.
That's okay. You've been drinking, so you won't feel it. I've had a few experiences like that. That was half the 90s for me. God, I miss the 90s.
90s were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want a time machine.
Everybody's got a friend that they had to go out and go to a bar and they had to go pick him up and save him. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine was having some drinks with his friends, and I told him, I go, hey man, anytime you're out, if you're too drunk, call me, man. I don't care what time it is, call me. I'll come get you. And I'm glad I said that, because he did, and I came and got him, and he was toasted, and I picked him up and we went back to his place, and of course I had a beer while I was there, and he had another beer, and I had three, but we had a good time in the mountain and all that. I didn't have to drive for at least 2 or 3 hours, and he was toasted. He was toasted, and I think it was right around not too far from Christmas, and we had been working on some of the Christmas ornaments, decorations in his garage, because they were going to go outside. And he had a date with the floor. And it happened in slow motion. I couldn't reach him, and I was inches away from him. And then he hit the floor. I'm like, damn, how'd that happen? I was literally inches from him, and I missed him by like an inch when I went to grab for him.
Yep, I've done that more than once.
The poor snowman broke his fall somewhat.
So that was the end of the snowman?
No, it was one of the old school wireframe snowmen that you put together and all that. It's still good. Bent it a little bit back into shape and all that. Yeah. Or it was the reindeer. I can't remember which. But yeah, true story. And if he's listening right now, he's probably going to kill me later.
Yeah, we don't know his name. Could have made it up for all we know.
Yeah. I can tell you stories involving me where that actually happened, more than one. Like I said, the 90s were a fun time. Too fun sometimes.
Yeah. I won a lot of races in my 5.0 Mustang in the 90s.
I had a Ford Taurus. But it was a Ford, so there.
Yeah, I had I don't know if you guys heard that, but my two boys are loud.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, they get loud.
It's okay, my dog will start howling soon.
Oh, yeah.
And my neighbor might start beating his wife, and it might come through the walls. I don't know. That's all I have around here.
Yeah, I have that upstairs.
So, Picard. Wow. Way to ruin a character, huh? Was there anything redeeming about Picard? And I was surprised that so many people that were smart people that saw how bad Discovery was seemed to be apologists for Picard.
Yeah, I did see some of that. Did Picard have any redeeming qualities? Brief instances of nostalgia in the first episode, and then I was very excited to see Jerry Ryan come back, and then they turned her into basically a cold-blooded killer. They tortured Icheb, so it was awful. It was. It's not Picard. It's Jake Picard.
Yeah.
The ending had me shaking my head. with spoilers. Are we doing spoilers, or does everybody know how it ends?
You can't spoil something that's rotten, man. Let it rip.
It's done Rottenville, you know.
So Picard the robot, and they euthanize Data, even though if Picard can be a robot, then why can't they just download Data? It was a narrative mess. It was all over the place. The new characters were awful across the board. It was the death of Star Trek. And it was funny watching this Voyager episode. I've been upfront out of the 5 real Star Trek series. Voyager has always been my least favorite. I've always called it Star Trek by the numbers or Star Trek a missed opportunity. But when Voyager would hit something out of the park, they would hit something out of the park. So watching this episode again for the first time in years, I'm like, my God, you would never, ever see something like that now. And also, if you look at Anorax, one thing that struck me, which you would never see now, is he's a 3-dimensional character. Yep. Where you understand where he's coming from and why he's doing these horrible things that he's doing. Whereas now he would just be a mustache twirling white dude.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, in the end, they kind of gave him a happy ending.
Well, no, they did, because everything goes back to normal and he gets his life back.
Yeah.
And with that, even the... but why this episode sticks out to me, and one of the issues that I have with Voyager, is unlike the other 5 series, which, the classic series hit the ground running, TNG, DS9, and Enterprise all hit their stride by season 3. But Voyager, and this is my own view, but Voyager never really hit its stride. It never actually found its voice. But when you look at an episode like this is what the show should have been. They should have stretched this out over a season, and then it would have been interesting. But the problem with Voyager is, while you do have brilliant episodes like this, and usually they tend to be the 2-parters, but so much of that series was filler, which I think was a mistake. I think if it was, say, the current formula of 10 or so episodes a year, I think because they usually had between 5 and 10 strong episodes per season. The rest was just sleep-inducing filler. Yep. But cut it down, it would have been a great show. But the problem was it didn't develop. But this, which they actually did really carry this out on Enterprise in season 3, where we see this happen to Enterprise over the course of a season, where the ship actually gets the crap kicked out of it. But this was Year of Hell was a missed opportunity. It should have been at least a season-long arc, and it would have been fascinating rather than just have it compressed into 2 episodes. But this is where we see the potential of the show. We see the potential of the characters. We see the potential of the actors that was never really carried to fruition. Because rather than trying new things like this, interesting things like this, Voyager would all too often rely on the Borg, which I think has completely diluted the Borg as an enemy. But this is one episode that always sticks out. So I think when you were asking me earlier this week, what are your favorite episodes of each series? Yeah. Well, it was the original series is the Doomsday Machine. I wore that tape out.
That is a good one.
The Next Generation is The Inner Light, because if that episode doesn't touch you emotionally, then there's something wrong with you. With DS9, it's a hard choice. Literally, it's so hard to pick a favorite episode from that show. But Voyager, hands down, it's Year of Hell.
Yeah. I think also with Voyager, I really remember enjoying Counterpoint. I think that was also a favorite episode of mine.
Yeah. Now, which one was that? Because I know the other series like the back of my hand, but Voyager, most of these episodes I haven't seen in at least a decade. What happens in that one?
So they're hiding telepaths, and there's this. They keep boarding the ship, and there's kind of a romance and a tension between Janeway and these Nazi-esque people looking for the telepaths. And
very Gestapo-like.
Yeah,
okay.
he fakes defecting, and it's all a ploy to get their hands on the telepaths. And so I really enjoyed the interplay between Janeway and the Nazi guy, and the ruse to get the telepaths through the black hole and safety.
Remember that one? There was the the two-parter World War II holodeck episode, that was a strong one. There was the two-parter episode where they go back to 1996, except for the fact that Sarah Silverman is in that episode. But that was a strong idea as well. So
that was a decent one. I watched.
Yeah, that was a good one. Future's End. Yeah, Future's End.
Was that a two-parter or a one-parter?
That was a two-parter.
That was a two-parter. That was right around that came out, or that was went into syndication. Same. When First Contact came out, both DS9 and Voyager did time travel episodes. So DS9, that was the Tribble episode, and Voyager did the two-parter back to 1996 episode. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but there was kind of a time travel theme. It was also the 30th anniversary.
Yeah. You know what my favorite part of Future's End was? Honestly, it was when they came across Captain Braxton, and he was like a hobo, and he was like, quasi-Cardassian totalitarian. And and people just thought he was like some nutty guy, and you wouldn't even know he was. Every once in a while, I'll just see, that's the quotable line that I use from Voyager. Quasi-Cardassian totalitarian.
One of the chat said something about, was it Shattered? Was it Shattered? Voyager.
Oh, yeah. It was okay. Shattered. I thought there was a big idea. That's the one where there's different time zones in the ship from different parts of.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Voyager tended to play around with time a lot. But one thing I noticed, like with Voyager, I watched the show January 95 to June, or I guess May 2001 when it finished. And then I most of it when they came out on DVD in 2004. And it hit me today. I'm like, I don't think I've really watched this show at all since it came out on DVD. So I'm thinking, because everything that's on TV now is crap anyway, and we still get them on Netflix, even though I've got the DVDs. I might give Voyager a revisit. I don't know, maybe now, especially after what we've seen with new, quote, Star Trek. I might be able to see it in a different light, or I might watch the top 10 episodes again. But when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this actually... No, I am watching their two best episodes. But like, this actually isn't as bad as I remembered. And one thing that struck me, you'll see this when they're in the astrometrics lab, or whatever it is they call it on this show. I can't remember that. But Jerry Ryan and Kate Mulgrew. So for anybody that doesn't know, they did not have the best relationship on the show. Mulgrew was very bitter that Jerry Ryan came on board and really stole the spotlight for several various reasons. But Jerry Ryan, in several interviews, talks about how she would be sick to her stomach when she had to do solo scenes the next day with Mulgrew. And I'm thinking, it was early on. She's talking about a scene where, and she would not mention Mulgrew by name, but obviously we knew who she was talking about.
So Mulgrew was one that didn't play well with others?
Oh, no, it's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
But but Jerry Ryan was talking about early when in a big episode, which this was 8 episodes after she joined the crew. So I tend to think this might be the episode where Mulgrew actually just walked to the other end of the room when Ryan was doing her camera takes and just kind of mumbled lines while she was reading a book. But you could tell that at one point, Mulgrew actually apparently tried banning Jerry Ryan from using the actor's bathroom, and told her that she had to use her own. But apparently she was awful to her, and Ryan was absolutely terrified of her. Watching those scenes, knowing the time frame, I'm like, my God, I think this might be the episode that they were referring to, because apparently it was when they introduced the lab, and the lab was introduced in this episode, and they have a lot of scenes together. So it's like you're reading some of the subtext, especially when 7 of 9 is doing her scenes, knowing in the background Mulgrew is sitting at the other end of the room and won't even look her in the eye. I like Janeway as a character, but Kate Mulgrew, apparently she's a piece of work.
Yeah.
Heard
that.
When after Picard started, I went back and I watched the first half of the first season of season 1 of Voyager. And well, now after watching it, now after hearing that, it seems to me Kate Mulgrew wasn't really acting. She was really just being her real self.
And she was a last-minute replacement as well. I don't know if everybody has seen.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Online of the original actress. They're on the scenes are available on YouTube, and they're also on the season 1 DVD, where they had cast Genevieve Bujold or whatever her name was, a Canadian actress.
Yeah,
she was in some horror movies back in the 70s.
Oh, she was prettier.
No, I actually watched those scenes. They are awful. So
they
had filmed most of The Caretaker, and Mulgrew was a last-minute emergency casting because this other actress wasn't working out at all, so she came in at the last minute. But no, Janeway was a strong character, regardless of what we say about the actress. So it was an admirable character, but it's when you hear what went on behind the scenes, and when we've recently learned what Mulgrew is like in person, and she's actually attacked Gene Roddenberry. She's attacked the show for apparently being sexist, even though she was the main character in the mid-90s. It's hard not to see what was going on behind the scenes. But you feel so bad for Jerry Ryan watching those scenes. I'm like, you were going through hell, because she would say in interviews, and I think it might be in a book as well, but if she knew she had to do a lot of scenes with Kate Mulgrew the next day, she couldn't sleep, and she was just sick to her stomach.
Wow.
Apparently it gave her an ulcer.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man, that's not good.
Yeah, so apparently, if we never would have got 7 of 9, we would have got a completely different captain.
Probably.
But she may have sucked more without Jerry Ryan putting that challenge out there,
Well, Jerry Ryan was brought in to save the show, because Voyager, it was on the UPN, which is a long since failed network. It was half on a network, half syndicated. In Canada, we got it syndicated through Fox out of Rochester. But by the end of or Rochester, New York, but by the end of season 3, the show was not doing well, and it was getting absolutely destroyed by Deep Space, because that's when Deep Space Nine really hit its stride. And it was kind of sad, because we on Fox, we got both shows back to back. So it was Saturdays at 6, we get Deep Space Nine, which did DS9, and then right after that we get Voyager. And often I wouldn't be home because I was a teenager. I would be out doing things, so I'd tape them. But I'd watch DS9, I'd be completely transfixed, and then Voyager, half the time I would shut off near the end of the episode. So by the end of season 3, Voyager was in trouble. And even despite the fact that DS9 was syndicated, it was getting killed in the ratings. So that's why Jerry Ryan came in. And I don't know, I was 97. I was 19 at the time. It did attract my interest and gave me a rekindled interest in the show. But yeah, 7 of 9 and the Doctor were the 2 most popular characters in the show. It's like, it is what it is.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, because me and a buddy of mine, when I first had moved to Olympia, Washington, back in, that was early on, the very tail end of 1998, I had moved to Olympia. Last 2 days. I got there on, I was there early enough where I was there for just before, just in the New Year's I got there. 7 days after New Year's, yeah. And so when I got there, me and a buddy of mine, it was basically, we had this ritual. We watched Deep Space, which one come first. We'd watch Deep Space Nine, and we watch Voyager. I think it was Voyager, then Deep Space Nine. And then after a while, they kind of switched, if I remember correctly, because Deep Space Nine was gaining more traction.
Well, it's Fox, actually, after season 5, season 5, that channel stopped carrying Voyager altogether because the ratings were so bad, and they would play Deep Space Nine twice. And actually, Noel from the TARDIS Zone, actually just put in your comment section, I've heard this story as well. Garrett Wang, who played Harry Kim, actually, he's spoken out about actually breaking down because of the tensions on the set. So yeah, it wasn't just her. And Jennifer Lean, who played Kess, I'm sure everybody knows. After she was essentially kicked off the show, Google her. She's tough life. Holy crap, you wouldn't recognize her.
Yeah, she looks way different. She's very different looking now. She's had some mental health issues, right?
Yeah, well, she
not only that, some drug addiction problems.
She's been arrested. She's done time in jail, but apparently, well, from what I know, she was bipolar. But the way she was kicked off the show to be replaced with Jerry Ryan was also somewhat unceremonious. And apparently, after that, she just had a complete breakdown, and then it just spiraled into her arrest a few years ago.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't they going to kick Garrett Wang off and keep Jennifer Lean? And I think I was reading somewhere that because he was named, was it an award or People Magazine or something, did a profile on him. And so they at the last minute decided not to kick Garrett Wang and keep, and kick her instead.
I think they were looking at multiple characters from what I remember. And to be honest, they didn't need to kick anybody off the show. They didn't need to. Essentially, they destroyed somebody's life in the way they kicked her off the show. Yeah. I don't think there was, like, she wasn't, in the first 2 seasons, she wasn't the best character, but she came into her own in season 3, and I don't think there was any call to kick her off the show in the way they did, because it's her story after that is absolutely tragic. So it's the odd dynamic between, when you look at Star Trek series, because there was friction on the original series. The Next Generation, they've been best friends ever since. Deep Space Nine, Avery Brooks had a reputation of being very distant, so that could be tense at times. And then Voyager, apparently behind the scenes, it was a complete train wreck from episode 1 to the end of season 7. And a lot of it was Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah, I really like Deep Space Nine. I decompress with Deep Space Nine.
Oh, it's by far the best Star Trek series, and I think one of the best television series of all time. And when you look at real Star Trek, and I say Star Trek anything before 2005, right. Now that we're looking, well, it's been 21 years now since DS9 went off the air. It's been 26 since The Next Generation went off the air. It's been 19 since Voyager finished. When I look at them now, DS9 seems to be the one that's aged the best, where it seems to be the most timeless of those 3 series, where oddly, I think it's The Next Generation that has aged the poorest, and I think Picard might have something to do with that. But no, Deep Space Nine is like the original series. They're both timeless shows. Yeah, so that's the image right there. That's her mugshot. So that was 2015, right after she had been arrested for streaking.
Wow.
So yeah,
they something about that.
It's a different look for her.
Yeah, you'd have no idea it was the same person. So that would be, she was off the show in 97. That was 2015. So yeah, so that's 19 years later. And she's not that old. I think she was only in her late 30s when the arrest happened. She's only a few years older than I am.
Wow. Yeah, man. I knew people that had bipolar. They went through a lot with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a medicine, and a lot of times diet regimen to help with bipolar.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they go through a real kind of almost like being high when they're on the high, and so that makes them not want to get on the medicine. They just ride that wave.
Well, a lot of creatives are like that, and a lot of them will use that as well. Like Carrie Fisher was just an example of somebody who was severely bipolar, but a lot of the great writers and artists and thinkers over time have been bipolar, and when they're on the high, they use that to channel their creativity or brain power. But the problem is you're always going to have the low that comes after that.
Yeah. The low, that's when they end up, a lot of them have ended up, self-deletion. So,
yeah.
Not good.
And a lot of them, they don't live healthy lives, where it's like, is it really worth it? It's like taking speed to get through a university exam. Yeah, is it worth it? You're going to die in the end.
Yeah, 6 baby Wookiees in a trench coat. Yep.
Looks like feminism happened. No, not in this case, no. But this could be the result of that in some other cases. But no, this is somebody who had a complete breakdown over the course of 15 years.
Yep.
So what's the story on her actual character? Was she easy to get along with while on set and stuff like that?
Well, she was very young. I think she was 19 when she was cast. There are a lot of stories about the drama on the Voyager set, but I haven't heard a lot of drama from her because she was very young. And Mulgrew was just an overpowering presence, so she just overpowered everyone. I haven't heard any stories of, because I think she, from what I know, she was medicated when she was on Voyager, so the symptoms weren't that bad. But I haven't heard a lot. No, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody has heard something else. But I haven't heard a lot about drama of her on the set. But I do know, if you look at interviews and things that she said, her downward spiral started in '97 after she was effectively fired, when, like I said, she didn't need to be.
Yeah, that's too bad, because her character was a decent character. There was a good dialogue between her and the Doctor.
Yeah, well, they also had the relationship between her and Tom Paris, which I bought a lot more than I ever did. The relationship with him and B'Elanna, which just seemed forced. You could have done that. She was a great counterpoint to the Doctor. I'm like, yeah, bring in 7 of 9, but you don't need to turf a character to bring in another character. Just have both of them.
Yep, exactly. And she was actually in wasn't Year. It was the prelude to Year of Hell. God, what's the name of that one?
Yeah, that was in season
before
3.
And after. Was it before and after? I think that's it.
And that's actually because I think one of the things that worked against her is that short hair was actually a wig. That wasn't her actual hair. When they did that episode, which was the prelude, which was the one that takes place over a few years, that's when she stopped wearing the wig and she had let her long hair out. And then after that, for the remainder of her time on the show, she had long hair. And I'm like, I thought she looked fine. I was like I said, I was amazed when they got rid of her, and this was in the early days of the internet. But I know on I don't know if you guys remember the original Star Trek site, but it was StarTrek.msn.com, and they had a message board. And I remember going on there after that episode aired, or the week that it aired, and everybody's like, "Why the hell did they get rid of her?" Like, I have no idea. She definitely didn't quit.
Yeah, that's the Wayback Machine for that website.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gosh, I didn't get internet until 1999.
Oh.
Speaking of internet, mine burped.
Yeah, mine is
all spinny wheel
as well. Oh, I just got to step away for a quick second, guys, but I will be right back.
All right.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, wait, did
lost Bear? I think Bear's internet puked.
Well, tell you what, Wes. Yeah, Puppy is here, wanting to go out, but we'll. Oh, okay, Bear's back.
Button. Yeah. Okay. That was the back button on my mouse.
I didn't want to leave Wes by himself, but I need to step away for a quick second. But I'll be right back.
Sure. Right. So yeah, when it comes to Star Trek Voyager, there was a lot of things that rubbed me the wrong way. And Stephen was here. He'd think that's funny. He'd create a joke out of that, wouldn't he?
Maybe. Janeway was a little bit brusque.
Yeah, I didn't like her when in the first half of season 1. I did not like her. She was not likable as a captain. But in some cases, you're not really supposed to like the captain sometimes.
Well, they did that episode where the copy of the Doctor was discovered like years and years and years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had a skewed version of history. They hadn't found the Doctor. And she's going around like executing people. That wasn't too far off the mark from her, actually.
You think so? Personality-wise?
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can find a clip of it.
Because I watched that episode recently.
Yeah.
I think either yesterday or the day before. And the history they show on that is just, wow, man. Talk about a tyrant. Hey, Guy 44, how you doing? What's up, CJ? How you doing?
Like that giant, their ship looks very militaristic. What's the Doctor? Voyager. Living Witness. There you go. That's what it is. Star Trek Voyager. Living Witness. Yeah, and the one where they made the Doctor. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I found it. I found a clip. I don't know how much of it you want to play. I'll share it here in a second.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll pop it in the private chat. That way you can do whatever you want to with it.
Let's see. There we go. It's funny how you can't click them. You got to highlight it.
Yeah, the leather gloves are a nice touch, I think.
I'm queuing it up for the right spot.
Yeah, just the part where they execute.
Because we're only going to show like maybe 3 or 4 seconds or so.
Seconds of it.
I want to get it.
Look at Chakotay's his tattoo. I think that's hilarious.
Oh man, it's like half his face.
Yep. I think you know what? I kind of was with bowlestrek on that being Voyager probably being. I mean, it was Enterprise, but now I think honestly it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I think those two are definitely my least favorite of the before Picard and
let's see here.
STD showed up. Oh my God, Picard and STD make those look like War and Peace.
All right. So get ready.
Oh hey CJ.
What's up, CJ? All right, let's go back here.
And I'm back.
Indeed. Got a little link that Wes sent to me. Sound clicked good. All right, there we go.
Yeah, I was making the argument that she's not really that different in the one where they find the Doctor.
All right, YouTube. This is for reviewing purposes and commentary only.
Fair use.
Fair use. Wow.
Oh, evil Janeway.
Well,
So,
you can't
yeah,
really tell much of a difference between evil Janeway and normal Janeway.
No.
Yeah. That's hardcore. And yeah, I watched that episode the other day, and yeah, it's interesting how things can be twisted when they show someone that finds information about Voyager and all that, and it's just fascinating.
Actually, now that I think about it, that is a good episode as a reflection of our current times. How history is being destroyed and misinterpreted and divides people.
Yep. Actually, and that's that was which episode was that? Okay, so that's the one where it's from I think it's from this season. So that's the one where it's a culture they're telling it's told as a hollow program or something like that.
Yeah, they so they built this museum and they found a copy of the Doctor or something.
Okay. I've actually because I keep meaning to watch that episode again because especially this year that's occurred to me. I'm like, Voyager did an episode that is a hell of a lot like what we're seeing right now. I actually might watch that tonight when I get back.
Yeah, Living Witness, that's it.
And that's the thing about Voyager. Another example of they would do these amazing episodes spread throughout episodes of mediocrity, but that's another one that sticks out. And that's another one I think everybody should watch. It's like the Orville episode with the point system.
Yeah. Majority rule. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might have something on that 30-second delay there.
With that, oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it delay, and it varies, and it will vary throughout the stream as well.
Very interesting. I've noticed when we're in different parts of the country, sometimes there is a delay, and it'll make it sound like we're interrupting each other, but we're not. It's just the delay that we all got.
Actually, we finally figured out what caused that, because a few of the streams that I did with Critical Drinker, for the first one, there was, I think it was almost a 30-second delay between the two of us, and then we figured out what it was. It was his Wi-Fi. If he was too far away from it, it would set it off. So if you're streaming, and it has something to do with StreamYard, but I've heard this from a few other people. If you're using Wi-Fi and you're streaming, for some reason it doesn't catch up. I'm always hardwired, so I don't have the streaming issue.
Right.
Apparently that's some kind of glitch with StreamYard. And then we just figured that out because he had his laptop, and as he walked closer to his router, we would actually catch up. But yeah, a StreamYard, it replaced Google Hangouts overnight. So it had to evolve quickly. So I'm impressed at how well it does run, considering the volume it picked up overnight, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Google Hangouts was before my time. That was like right when I started my channel. So I've really known nothing but StreamYard.
Well, Hangouts was fine, except then Google decided they didn't care about it. Then they stopped updating it. Then it became glitchy as hell, bordering on unusable, and then they got rid of it. And then it was all to StreamYard's advantage. I don't stream enough to actually buy a StreamYard account, because the months that I do stream, it's maybe 2 streams. I don't think I've streamed since like March.
CJ, that's funny. Just noticed streams are being crossed. What you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Who are you gonna call?
Those Bear Busters.
Yeah. Well, the reason why is because this is when bowlestrek can go live and schedule, and it is the 4th of July, so
who would have thought somebody else would be streaming?
Yeah, and I tried to make it to where it wasn't, but we got to work with people's schedules the way they are.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's much going on today. We have Canada Day on July 1st, which is our version of July the 4th, and it was depressing because in the city that I live in, they always have this massive fireworks display every year, and this year we got to watch reruns on TV of past fireworks. It was it was a very, very sad Canada Day. Well, it was the Canada Day that never happened. But yeah, no, it's our fireworks display is one of the biggest in the country, except the massive park where it happens is still roped off.
Yeah, everything's been canceled around here for fireworks too. So what are you gonna do?
Well, I had to go out and pick up a grocery order earlier, and I drove through the Squally Res, and all the fireworks are open. Guess what? It didn't look like they were social distancing. I don't think I seen anybody wearing a lot of masks.
No,
I don't think.
It's selective.
But there was fireworks stands that weren't in the res, and they were social distancing in the lining up, and in those Soviet style lines, you gotta wait to get into somewhere, and so I seen that, and then when I drove through Nisqually, because the tribe all the members sell fireworks, the good ones. You can get the good ones, and they were the one designated huge lot they have with all the fireworks, and there's different sections along the way on the res, and I didn't see any of that. I didn't see no one wearing no masks on the res, and people were going there to get their fireworks. They weren't waiting in no lines and social distancing wasn't happening. and it seems so different, the contrast of the two.
Yeah,
And it was partly cloudy and partly sunshiny, and it was nice day, nice wind, nice breeze. Have you ever had a finch? Because apparently there's a finch that hangs out at the Walmart. Because I was talking with the guy there, and I go, "Have you ever seen a finch that friendly? It came down and land walking around, looking up and all that." And he goes, "Oh, that finch has been hanging out for the past week." I'm like, "He's friendly like that?" It's like, "Yeah," because he recognized the finch. I think it was a finch. It might have been a starling, actually, a little tiny. And yeah, he said it's been hanging out, and I thought that was so unusual. Kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, there are always these frickin' finches when I'm around, when I'd get Chipotle and hang out outside. So annoying.
Oh, they steal your Chipotle?
It's like my food. Yeah,
they like your food, huh?
Drop a chip or something. Yeah. They're all gimped out too. I always see ones with like one leg or something, which makes me kind of lose my appetite.
Well, that just tells you that there's a cat somewhere that ate that bird's leg.
Poor bird.
Yeah, not if he's trying to steal my food.
So yeah, there were some things about Voyager that I didn't really like, and it didn't happen often, but every now and then there's just like, okay, skip, or it's like, okay, I can skip this episode.
Well,
watching on Netflix.
I didn't even, because watching it week by week, you didn't really notice it. But the DVDs came out in 2004. That's when every 2 months they had they released everything over the course of 3 years. But it was when I was watching the DVDs that I actually noticed. I'm like, my God, this is so dull. Because if you'd watch a bunch of them back to back, I'm like, this is awful. And then you have the one good episode. I'm like, this is great. Then it's back to sleepy time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that was the problem with Enterprise as well. Because Enterprise did the same thing through its first 2 seasons, where it would have good episodes, but then it would have filler. And season 2 was particularly bad for this. But then in season 3, they had the balls to go in an entirely different direction. And then they...
Hey, Bearhead.
And it worked.
Yeah, season 3 was great. I actually really enjoyed season 3.
Season 3 and 4 are both great. Season 4, they changed the format of the show where they kept the serialized format but would have 2 and 3 part episodes, and I thought it was brilliant. But the problem was that they had lost so many fans in the first 2 seasons because of the filler episodes that there wasn't enough left by season 4. Although compared to what viewing figures are like now, the figures that Enterprise was getting near the end would be a top 10 show in 2020. And I still want somebody to bring Enterprise back and just retcon a hashtag Trip Didn't Die. And Netflix or CBS, well, Netflix might buy CBS, that's a rumor. Netflix, if you buy CBS and own the Star Trek brand, bring back Enterprise for a limited series.
Yeah, we want more Trip. I'm down with that.
And just retcon that final episode, which the less said about the better.
Right.
It wrecked 2 shows in one. It wrecked TNG and Enterprise.
I mean, Trip, man, that was a great character. I loved his character. And you know what? I liked DePaul too. I like the chemistry between those 2 characters.
What I liked about Enterprise, more so than the other series, is the characters felt real. Yep. They felt like people because it was obviously at a time frame that's closer to where we are now. Mm-hmm. And I think Archer, out of all the captains, Archer was the best leader. Where he had the authority, but he was the only captain out of all of them, really, that would relate to his crew members. Especially, there was one episode, I think it was season 2, where they go back to Malcolm's ship. His dad has recently died. And so they're in their, it's before they head over to the ship, and they're hanging upside down in the whatever it was, bulkhead.
Yeah.
Trip is concerned that, his dad didn't like what he was doing. And then you have Archer going out of his way to say, no, actually, your father contacted me before I hired you, and that's one of the reasons why. So it's like he was a leader because a real leader, not only are you a leader, but you can relate to the people under your command. And I think Archer related better to the people under him far more than any of the other captains, including Kirk, where Kirk was kind of the adventurer. Picard mellowed as he went through, but he was distant. Avery Brooks, well, Cisco could also be a little bit distant. Janeway, well, she terrified her cast members, and I think some of that came across on screen. But Archer was completely different, where this was somebody, and there was so much positivity, and I think a lot of that comes from Bakula, because if you ask anybody that's ever met Bakula in real life, apparently he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, which is why he didn't do angry very well. As much as I love the Mirror Universe, Bakula just can't pull off evil, because I don't think that's in his nature. But it was, the crew was more down to earth. You related to these people more than you have in any other Star Trek show. Whereas compared to Picard, where they're like, yeah, we're going to have a cast member that's woke with the hip with the youngsters, and then you get what you got.
Right.
They tried that on Discovery, too, which was just as bad, if not worse. But no, Enterprise is underrated. I've had this discussion with many people where Enterprise, that was a disaster. I'm like, no, actually, had Enterprise not been canceled when it was, because they were building up to the Romulan war arc right when the hammer finally came down, had it been allowed to complete the 3 seasons that it never got, I think now we would be looking at that show in an entirely different light. Because keep in mind, DS9 and The Next Generation, they were not, to put it mildly, they were not the best shows. Their first 2 seasons were pretty dire as well. And I think the reason why Enterprise gets such a bad rap is because it was never allowed to grow. Where, say, if Deep Space Nine had been canceled, say at the end of season 2, it would be considered complete crap. But we don't talk about those first 2 seasons of Deep Space Nine because it became what it was in the end. Or if The Next Generation had been canceled after season 2, well, what a crappy show that was. But no, season 3 completely transformed itself and became The Next Generation that we know. And that's what sucks about Enterprise. It had 2 brilliant seasons, but never got the chance to carry out its mission.
Yeah, I felt like with season 5 with Star Trek Enterprise, I felt like we got fisted on that one.
Yeah, well, you see what they were building to, and they had to wrap it up in a 2-part episode. In that Romulan arc, that was going to be the next 3 seasons of the show. And the new serialized format had worked well, which they tried the serialized format with the new Star Trek, and because the shows suck, it failed. But I think it would have worked well with Enterprise, because by this point, you'd gotten to know these characters. Those of us that were still watching it up until the end like these characters. I think Manny Koto did a brilliant job in terms of reinventing the show. And he actually follows me on Twitter as well, ironically, when I was trashing Discovery. So I'm not very happy with it either.
I actually think that some of my favorite episodes are in season 1 and season 2 of TNG. Conspiracy, season 1.
They had some great episodes. Time Squared.
Time Squared's a really good one, yeah.
That is, I think, one of their best episodes, because it's creepy the way that they did it. It's a scary episode when it comes in. I was younger when I saw it, but I think it's well done. So there are gems in the first 2 seasons, but again, they suffer from what I'll call filler syndrome, which didn't necessarily affect seasons 3 through 7. I don't think there were any filler episodes in DS9 after season 3. Ooh, what are we looking at?
Yeah, we got
a little ship porn.
A little ship porn.
I like that ship.
I did too.
I was expecting, maybe I'm a canon Nazi here, but
hey, Mikhail, how you doing?
I was expecting like a Daedalus class ship, I guess, the one with the round dome.
Well, I can kind of see, because with Enterprise, they kind of had to fit in between two things, where it's okay. It has to be perceived or believable that this is 100 years before the original series, but at the same time, believable that it's not that far from our present time. So I think in terms of Enterprise, they did the best they could, because obviously this was not 1966, this was 2001. Whereas try and make it believable where it's 200 years from now, but not the original series. Whereas on Discovery, that ship seems 200 years more advanced than anything that was on TNG. So I think they struck a good balance.
There's a refit version that we never seen in the movie.
Yeah, I guess they were going to get around to that, right? At some point.
Yeah,
Possibly, yeah.
Well, I mean, here, the writer, God, STD, man. I mean, what a
there's the toy, man. Think what something like that still in the package would be worth.
Battle Damage Star, yeah, season 3. I wish I had that actually.
If they would have had some skilled writers, they could have taken what Brian Fuller had set up and done something interesting with it. You could really see the weaknesses once Harberts and Berg took over, just how bad that show got. I mean,
Well, how many producers it went through.
Yep. Like, if they would have done, sure, it could have been an advanced ship, and it could have been like a ship out of time or something. They set all that stuff up, and then they just did nothing, absolutely nothing with it, and they made Michael Burnham the bestest ever.
There's no reason to set that show in the past. Like, no reason beyond it can't come up with anything. The show easily could have been set 100 years after the Next Generation.
Yep.
Just taking a look at these pictures here.
Yeah, and Michael Burnham, man. I mean, at least she was kind of interesting in the beginning because, she was a fuck up. That was interesting.
And then that lasted for the first episode, and then she's the bestest ever. Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing about producers is they only had one producer from the real Star Trek era on that show who lasted 2 episodes. That was Joe Menosky. And then I guess he walked off, and then you had a bunch of hacks running the show.
Definitely hacks. Boy, the hackery is very evident.
And,
Big time.
and they had to rip everything off from Anas Abdim and not even be subtle about it.
Justice for Anas.
Yep.
Yeah, they really did, man. They were not subtle about it at all, ripping them off.
No, it's you look at the outline and then you look at the show. I'm like, my God, at least tried to hide it, bastards.
Little off topic.
No, I want that. I want that.
I couldn't find the Transformer. This is the one that's $33. I got it immediately before they were out of them. Because I figure, well, if they're gonna go after the Transformer version of the DeLorean, figure I'm gonna get this one. And so this one's on the way.
Nice.
Yeah, $33. It's the bigger one. They got ones that are slightly smaller that are similar to the Ecto one that I have, same size, and the Knight Rider, same size as that one. Those are $12. But those ones, when I got those were like Christmas time on sale stuff, and they were like $5 a piece, $6, something like that.
I still have my old Ecto one in a box somewhere, the old plastic toy from the 80s. I actually still have all the original Star Wars figures open because I played with them. But I've got them in a box in storage, all wrapped up in Ziploc bags. Up until a few years ago, they might have been worth something.
Yeah, I tried. I guess there's a limited edition of the Transformer version, and I guess they were like $33, and there's a limited edition. And someone said in one of the chats that they sold out in 30 seconds.
Is it staying in the package?
Pretty much. It's going to stay in the package. They showed up on eBay for like $600 a piece. And so basically it's similar stuff to basically as scalpers, you know. People bottle it up and then now they're scalping them. I guess that's the name of the game sometimes when it comes to collectibles, though. But yeah, I figured I'd snag this one, and of course, I'm not going to open it.
Nope, just put it on the bookshelf. Now, when I set up my new office, I want to find me some Federation ships to decorate the place with. I've got my my TARDIS away in a box. I want to go full nerd.
Now that would be cool. A life-size TARDIS in a council room. Oh yeah.
I actually I'd have a life-size TARDIS right in my living room. I don't care. It's my living room.
I could make a life-size TARDIS. I probably could do that.
Well, there was one that I maybe about 15 years ago that I debated buying because they had a life-size TARDIS that was a DVD storage cabinet, and I never did. I really wish I had that.
Which TARDIS would you have?
Let's see.
Doctors, yeah.
My favorite version of the TARDIS is actually the early JNT era, so the Peter Davison era. And my favorite console room is the Five Doctors redesign.
Yeah.
But I would take any TARDIS except for the current one.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really count. Hopefully that, hopefully it's going to be a bad dream. That was, it's just another case of you hearing the rumors and not believing anybody could be dumb enough to do it. And then...
Yeah. Well, with what they did, I know Gary had those rumors for months, and then he let me in on the rumors. So we both sat on those rumors for 2 months before saying anything, hoping to hell it was wrong, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
What on earth? Man.
Yeah, the new Doctor, me and my wife, third episode, wife fell asleep on third episode. Wife didn't too much care for first episode. Wife kind of looked every now and then up at it while reading something on her phone. Then third episode, she fell asleep.
Was the third episode Rosa?
Yeah.
I think I've like tuned it completely out of my mind.
I only watched this past season because I had to review it.
Problem being, he's got the solution right there. Capaldi wakes up in the shower and says, like that scene in Dallas where
I was about to say Dallas,
where Bobby Ewing wasn't dead; it was all a dream. Nightmare. I mean.
Very cool.
No, this would be Nightmare. Like I had these dreams. I did these terrible things. Yeah.
Let's see here.
She's so unlikable. Her, man. And I don't know. So supposedly, I mean, if it goes forward, Yaz is going to be the only companion. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the other two have left. So, yeah. Well, I am even past the point of caring. I don't even know. I probably won't even bother reviewing the next season. I'll just make fun of the press around it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with Star Trek Discovery. I mean, well, okay. So I've got a theory on Star Trek Discovery. I know it's going to suck already. No, I have a theory that they're going to make Michael Burnham God, not a god, the god, and that she wanted to experience a corporeal existence, and that and that none of it was real. She experienced it, and everything went back to normal. I hope.
She's God. Yeah, I've had that same theory. Well, we know it's going to happen because they finished shooting it, although the rumors are it's so bad they don't know what to do with it because apparently what they've put together is tested worse than Series 1 and 2. So I think they're just going to shove it out on CBS All Access and be done with it. Unless there's Netflix buys CBS, which is still a rumor, but I'd say it's very likely that they'll just dump it on Netflix and not promote it.
I don't know. Man, I mean, they were complaining about being restrained by canon, but canon was not the issue with Discovery. It was everything they were doing outside of that. And I can't even imagine what them untethered to canon would look like. Well, maybe I kind of can. I'm afraid to.
Well, it's the same thing you do with Doctor Who. Real Star Trek ended in 2005. That's where it ended for me. What we have now is in Star Trek, just like Doctor Who ended in 2017. And if you look at it that way, we have great Star Trek, and it is it's not the same universe anyway, so we look at it that way. And,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, man.
Oh, I was just going to ask, in order of fucked from most fucked to least fucked, where would you say Star Wars, Who, and Trek fall in order of most fucked to least fucked?
Well, no, I can answer this. The least fucked is actually Star Trek. And I will say that because Discovery, there's 12 years removed between the end of Enterprise and Discovery. They're completely different universes. I don't really associate them. So I think Star Trek is repairable. The Next Generation has been ruined. They've ruined Picard, but I think there are other shows, and I think they could go forward with something new, with new characters that doesn't suck, with people that know what they're doing, i.e. get Seth MacFarlane in charge. And I think Star Trek can be saved. Second would be Star Wars. Now, Star Wars' humiliation was the most public of the three of them. But Star Wars, it wasn't the best show, but it was the best they could do. There was a glimmer of hope with The Mandalorian. You get Kathleen Kennedy out of there, put Jon Favreau in charge, and if these rumors of decanonizing the sequel trilogy go forward, then I think it will never go back to what it was because you can't completely undo the damage, but I think it can be saved. Doctor Who is worst case scenario. They have alienated the fan base. They've rewritten the history of the show. They've bastardized it. They spent 3 years attacking the fans. Doctor Who is not coming back. So Doctor Who is by far the most fucked out of the three of them. Star Trek and Star Wars, I think, can be saved. Doctor Who, I don't think it can be saved at this point.
Well, Doctor Who fan base is not a forgiving bunch.
Nope. They walked away and they ain't coming back. Well, you insult them for 3 years. Yeah. Whereas the other two, like the Mandalorian, it's not perfect, but it did win people back. And I think Star Trek ultimately might be safe because of the separation between real Trek and the disaster that we have right now. Nobody from real Trek is now working on this disaster, i.e. Discovery and Picard. They're all on the Orville. Literally, they're all on the Orville across the board. So that talent is still there. So get that talent back in the Star Trek universe, eject everything that we've had. I think Star Trek can be saved. And if Netflix buys CBS, bring back Enterprise, and just, it's 15 years now since the show ended. Okay, pick it up 15 years from where it ended, and Trip didn't die. Just find some clever way of retconning that as a holodeck nightmare and bring it back.
I would love
Cold
that.
War. Yeah.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. That would be freaking awesome.
Or
I really like Trip. He's an awesome character.
Well, what do you think this idea, bowlestrek? They were talking about doing a season 8 of I saw the documentary. I've got stream brain. They wanted to do a season 8 of DS9. What do you think about picking up DS9 again?
I think the problem with DS9 is I think they've waited too long because there was an opportunity and there are a lot of questions left open. I think after Nemesis was done, I think the next movie should have been a DS9 movie where they address that. But I don't know how well that would work now because we're 19 years removed from the end of DS9. I would have to see it. I think DS9, some things are better left in the past and not touched. Now, I use the X-Files as an example of this. Up until the Revival series, we had positive memories of the X-Files. Then season 11 happened, which was the last one. Now our memories are not so good. So that's, I kind of want them not to touch DS9. I think it was a perfect show for the time. there are questions open, but I like the way it ended. DS9, I think at this point I'd rather have it left alone. I think Enterprise is a different story because it wasn't allowed to finish its story, whereas DS9 was. Enterprise is also more recent than DS9, so I want Enterprise to be given that chance to finish its arc, whereas DS9 ended its arc, and depending on who they'd have running it, maybe, but I would rather just DS9 just be left as it is. Just, it's like, I don't know, remaking Gone with the Wind. I don't even think we're allowed to say that anymore.
Right.
Remaking Gone with the Wind, or Citizen Kane, or something from the past, which is a perfect movie, a perfect representation. I think they should be left as it is. And I think DS9, I think it should be left as it is.
Okay.
Probably not the most popular of opinions, but I just think yes, there are questions, but I think it had such a perfect ending the way it was, that had they addressed it, say maybe 2004, 2005, possibly, but now I think too much time has gone by.
Yeah,
So the chat actually seems to agree with you. I saw what they're, and that's what it was, what we've left behind. Yeah, I saw kind of what they sketched out. I was pretty intrigued by it. If they were going to go that direction with it, but they did have some kind of like, there was like a little smidgen of woke here and woke there that I cringed a little bit.
Well, that's the problem with anything that comes back right now, because even the X-Files, when it came back, started to go woke. I don't think it's possible now for anything to come back without that seeping in.
Yeah.
It's like Back to the Future, which I think it's now certain that Back to the Future is not coming back. Do not touch Back to the Future. Or Indiana Jones. Well, no, that's going to come. But Back to the Future is about... Back to the Future and Babylon 5 is about all that hasn't been destroyed. Which sucks. Every other franchise is dead.
Well, Access Media for quite a while now has been going after our heroes. A little toxic thing called cancel culture. They came for Luke Skywalker. They came for Star Trek.
Well, they'll come for everybody now.
Yeah.
It's about destroying the past.
Came for Picard.
It's part of the culturally. It's part of the destroying everything narrative. Destroy everything that came before, which they've done. And some franchises will never be fixed, i.e., Doctor Who.
Yeah, the actress that plays Dodge. She had one of those anti-mail stickers in the back of her phone when she took a selfie of herself.
Sorry, who is that?
Briones. That's her last name. The actress that plays Dodge in Picard, Star Trek.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was...
nobody cares about that anyway because those characters sucked.
Well, the interesting thing about that character is that's all I was able to find on her. That was it. And it's one of those things that she kind of let slip out, and everybody screenshotted it and shared it all over social media. And basically, that's the only bad stuff that I've seen coming from her. Otherwise, I didn't see any of it, her talking about it, anything like that, making videos or saying derogatory things about men or white men or men in general or whatever, And I didn't actually see that. And I looked for it because I wanted to find if it was there or not. And I didn't actually find it. And I'm going to chalk it up to she's young, and maybe she's going to grow out of that. And she'll realize that it's not necessarily a very good way to be as a human being.
No, and not in Star Trek, which was a show that originally, going back to the 60s, was about real inclusion. Whereas now it's not. And poor Picard, what they did to him. Let's just turn him into a robot and a full-fledged SJW. So it can't even be Picard anymore because Picard's dead.
Yep.
I didn't think that through. I hope the next season of that doesn't happen.
I Picard ain't Picard.
Yep.
Derek Memenis, is it your birthday today?
Oh, hey, Derek. Well, Derek, if it is your birthday, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Hail and happy birthday.
Hail to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Derek. Yes, he's
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
One of my many mods and stand-up guy. So awesome, Derek.
I'm lifting a cup of Pete's. It's your birthday.
We don't have Pete's in Canada, so I'll just have my bubble water.
I'm lifting here. I'll get the cam going here. I'll toast you with some fine tap water from the confluence of the Yuba and Feather Rivers in Northern California.
Awesome.
Now, knock on wood.
With my daily dose of fluoride and a hint of chlorine.
And water hasn't been canceled yet.
There was still a little bit of whiskey in that cup, right? Because you didn't clean it.
I used a different cup for the whiskey. Actually, I did vodka yesterday. That's what I was drinking. Vodka Red Bull. Seemed like a summery type drink.
Yay, summer. And guys, yeah, and I'm probably going to have to take off shortly.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this.
Hold on. Well, before you go, I want to show you something, and I want to get your opinion on this. I'm going to show you something, and I just want to know: does anything jump out at you?
Oh dear.
Yeah. Jumping out at you?
Possibly. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Any theories on what that possibly might be?
Some say it's a sock with a slinky and some wet sand.
Maybe a roll of quarters, perhaps. Laundry day around the White House.
Yeah. I can't unsee that, can I?
You can't unsee it. No, you're not going to be able to unsee it.
And
for that.
It looks even stranger to metal music.
It does. It actually, she dances perfectly in time with your theme song.
Yes. Okay, enough of that.
Yeah. Thanks.
I had to do it. We do it to everybody. Oh, do you want me to unstop it or you?
There we go. I got it. Yeah. I clicked the wrong thing.
That was
it wasn't the back button again.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to click the wrong thing, Bear.
Yeah. So basically, these two episodes, the Year of Hell, there's a lot of parallels with these two episodes and what's been going on, kind of in a lot of ways, with the pink elephant, as we call it. And but when you get right down to it, the solution was they had to destroy the time ship. That was the solution.
Well, that and drop.
He was working so hard to try, and he was trying to get his wife back and his kids because of a mistake he made. He wiped them out of history, and the whole time he was trying to get his family back, and he was willing to do anything to get his family back. And what he wasn't calculating is he was the anomaly. His ship was the anomaly. Yep. That's what they didn't know. That's what they couldn't figure out. They thought it was Voyager. And maybe that had a little something to do with it, but his ship, they were the anomaly. If we were watching, what is it, the Legends, it would be an anachronism. He's the anachronism. He's out of place. And so as soon as they exploded that ship, everything, the timeline went back the way it was supposed to. He was with his family, and there was the solution right there.
Yep.
Too great.
It was great that it gave him that he wasn't a mustache twirling villain, and that he got a happy ending. Voyager got a happy ending.
It was clever storytelling across the board. And again, Compare storytelling like what we got in that episode compared to the storytelling that we've gotten in Discovery and Picard. Not even in the same league.
God, I swear to God, those scripts must have been written in crayon for Picard.
Probably. Well, aren't crayons a detriggering mechanism now? So yeah, they may have been. Oh no, that's bubbles. Bubbles and crayons.
Hey, I got a good idea, guys. Let's do attack space flowers and we're gonna kill Picard. But we're gonna bring him back in a robot body, but it's gonna be a body that's identical to his old body. So he's still gonna need like the blue pill and Metamucil. Like, man, I don't know.
I actually had to watch that sequence again to believe what I was seeing. And I still don't quite believe what I was seeing.
Noel says a really interesting thing, but it ended with him putting the pad down. Do you guys think he finished the calculations? I would say that no,
Nope.
He didn't, because that was the linchpin. He finished his calculations and he was ignoring his family. And this timeline, he decides not to. And so therefore, he ignores it, and it never becomes a thing. It never happens.
Plus,
that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, me too. And instead of living out of time, he was living in the moment.
And you notice, as soon as it was restored, the Krenim were friendly after that.
Yep.
Because there was the one major thing. That family on the Krenim timeline was integral. Because basically, in most family values, kindness is a big theme. Teaching kindness and teaching niceness and integrity. And maybe that was the linchpin for that timeline, for that kindness that he showed his family, and then his kids grew up to be people that were important, and it changed everything.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It's an ending that's left up to interpretation, which again, we would not see this in 2020 because people have to have everything spoon-fed to them. But you can think that story and everybody's going to see it in a different way. Whereas I see it similar to that, where we learn that he was always neglectful of his family, but here at the end, he puts the pad down and goes to spend the day with his wife. And then that undoes everything from happening. But then again, the last thing we see is a pan over to the pad. So question remains, is history going to repeat itself? And we don't get the answer. And that's what I like. And that's what makes good fiction.
Yep. Agreed.
It's definitely what I liked about it. And, I've watched these 2 episodes 4 times in the past 3 days. And I got different things every time I watched it. Layers, like peeling like an onion. Only this onion was sweet and it didn't hurt your eyes.
Well, no, when this originally aired back in '97, because I would tape them. I think the week after this aired, I must have watched it 5 or 6 times. I was just fascinated by both these stories. And like brilliant writing. And like I said, this is watching these again has made me decide I'm going to reevaluate my assessment of Voyager. And for the first time in years, I'm going to watch some more episodes. Yeah. But on that note, guys, I have to take off. But Bear, thank you very much for having me, man. This was
man, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and Wes, we've talked online, but I think this is actually this is the first time we've appeared on a stream together, if I'm not mistaken.
This is the first time. Yes,
this is the first time. Cool. We will have to do it again, and when I finally revive my streams from the dead back on my own channel, which will probably be closer to the fall, I'm definitely going to have you guys on as well.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for having me, and everyone in the chat, thanks for hanging out, and we will speak again soon.
Yeah, let me let me pop your link down there in the chat there.
Yeah,
because I was last night. I was getting everything ready to go and all that, and then today I was getting everything else ready to go, and so I was organized.
I
Hey,
failed
guys.
you as a mod. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I said I failed you as a mod. I'm sorry.
Well, so that is me, folks. If you want a good laugh, follow me on Twitter because I've got a fan club on there, so it's awesome. Although I'm busy this Saturday, so I will not be arguing with people on Twitter all night, and it's going to be awesome. But anyways, well, take care, everyone.
Yeah, I'll pop your Twitter link down
Cool.
there, and
It's good for a laugh. Just put my name into Twitter, and you'll see how unhinged are. But I am heading off, so take care, everyone.
all right, you take care. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thanks, my friends.
Hey. All right, those of you that's not subbed to bowlestrek, make sure you sub because he's great. He's a great guy. And if you're not following him on Twitter, there's the link in the chat.
One of my favorite YouTubers ever, if I would do say so myself. Love bowlestrek.
Yeah, the last time I was in a live stream, it was on Friday Night Tights. And that was a lot of fun, I gotta say.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Wow. I mean, I didn't, we were able to kind of geek out a little bit and hang out with our, the best chat on YouTube, of course, that we have.
You know it.
And we're even able to sneak in the do a drive-by roll of quartering. So, I hated to do that to him, but we had to. It's part of our hazing ritual. Fair. Yeah,
so I guess California is shut down for another 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard Final talking.
They're starting to. Yep. Well, I thought it was depending on the county. My county, we're seeing 20, 25 cases a day now, and before we reopened, we had. I think we're seeing like one case every 2 days. Total case of 70. Total of 70 cases. Yeah, so they're freaking out. They want to shut us down. I'm over it. I want the apocalypse to end.
Yeah, I'm tired of the pink elephant, bad script writing.
Very.
I'm ready for it to be done. Ready for the year of the sheep to go away. Absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure. Well, what do you think? Did you want to wrap or keep going?
Yeah, we can keep going, man. Who knows? Final may show up, being they're wrapping up there. Saying hellos in the chat real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need an alien invasion. yeah. An alien invasion. That would certainly shake up the doldrums, huh?
As long as it's not one like it V, though. I don't think I'd want an alien invasion like that. Or like the type of alien invasion that was in, Robotech. That probably wouldn't be good either. I liked Robotech. Robotech was cool. I couldn't believe that it was actually 3 totally different cartoons kind of like slapped together. I was like, really? Well, that explains why the aliens were so different. That's actually on Netflix, or was.
What was on Netflix?
Robotech.
I don't think I've ever really watched that. Weird, huh?
Yeah, I remember watching that when I was a kid. It had a really engaging story. The 80s was a golden age, I think, for cartoons, kids' cartoons. It was very smart, and the plots were very good, and it had, really, as you could enjoy it as an adult because like G.I. Joe, for example. You have people that finance the terrorism, the twins, and then you had kind of the special team of the Joes, and just they even went into like some of the stuff that we talk about conspiracy wise, as to, some of the things that the rituals and things that those people believed in. Really deep stuff. For a kid's cartoon, it was amazing.
Yeah, I honestly I can't remember if I've ever watched that or not. Because there was back then there was a lot of different interesting cartoons.
Yeah, you had the Thundercats was good. You had Silverhawks. You had there was a lot of good cartoons back then. A lot. Transformers, of course.
Oh yeah. Because there was some cool cartoons. What's up, Random Brad? How you doing?
Hail, Random Brad.
Yeah, because I remember in the early 80s, into the late 80s, and into the 90s, there were some really interesting cartoons.
Oh, there you go. He-Man. Yeah, that was a good one.
He-Man. That was a good cartoon, yeah. Even the She-Ra cartoon, remember when that came out? That was good, too.
Yeah, it was. I actually saw the He-Man movie in the drive-in. That's where they introduced She-Ra, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, the motion picture one, I can't remember what theater I went to see that at, but I did go in the theater to see that.
The live action one that God, who did they have in that? Who played Skeletor? I think it was somebody that was a big name, wasn't it?
Dolph Lundgren played He-Man.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. Okay, yeah.
Who did play He-Man? I don't remember.
Skeletor?
Yeah.
I think Frank Langella. Yeah, that's who played him.
Oh, wow.
Langella, yeah.
Man,
yeah, I just remember the part where they got to Earth and they were eating like chicken wings or something. This is delicious.
I have made it a point to make sure that my kids watch Tom and Jerry cartoons. Yeah.
They'd probably get canceled now for gratuitous violence.
Oh, man. Hard copies. Frank Langella. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Langella.
I think it's Langella.
Yeah, that guy's been in a lot of very diverse body of work. He played Nixon. Do
you know that
Courtney Cox? That's who I was thinking of. Courtney Cox. Yeah.
Frank, he played a vampire in the late 70s, and I think the reason why they had him, why he got the part for Dracula, was the fact that he looked a lot like Christopher
Lee.
Christopher Lee. That's it.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Christopher Lee a little too.
And when he was, because he was a bit younger back then, and they had a similar look and similar sound, and that's a good movie. I forget. Was it The Bride of Darkness or something like that?
Oh.
He was only in one. He only played it once, I think. Yeah. Yeah, he played Dracula. It was in the late 70s. Because when I was a kid, I didn't know any better. I thought it was Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he said he kind of
sounds like him.
Yeah, it really does sound like him, and I guess similar look to him. Like in profile or shadow, you probably wouldn't really know the difference. TARDIS Zone official YouTube channel says, remember Popeye movie and Super Mario Brothers? Which one was the worst one? Well, as bad as Popeye was, you got to say it was a little closer to the source material than Super Mario Brothers. That's the one with Robin Williams.
Wow, I didn't know that he... are you talking about Christopher Lee that played Dracula on stage? Or Frank Langella? I'm thinking Christopher Lee. But yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite Draculas, Christopher Lee. And years later, I learned that it was actually Frank Langella that played in that one. It's awesome.
Yeah, dude's a great actor.
Genre. Yeah.
Did a pretty decent Nixon too.
Yeah, Christopher Lee. That was in the. Yeah. So Christopher Lee was a stage actor and all that, and there was quite a few others that were stage actors as well that did real well, did real good in movies.
Yeah, I think Patrick Stewart started life off as a stage actor, and I believe Max von Sydow started as a stage actor, didn't he? Could be wrong on that.
So.
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, the stage actors, they're real snobby and they don't think a lot about. They don't think highly of movies as an art form or television as an art form, but then that paycheck shows up and they change their tune real fast.
Yeah, he was in theater.
Yep. Tardisone says Frost Nixon, a great movie. I own it on DVD. Yep. To be honest, it's not historically accurate, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's not bad. Not bad at all. All right. A lot of that age group started from the Royal Shakespeare Company. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it looks like Frank Langella was a stage actor, and his Dracula play was a hit on Broadway. I believe his Dracula film was the first motion picture. Definitely his first starring role. Oh, really? Well, that's pretty cool. Because he plays a very convincing Dracula. Definitely.
Yeah.
He's got the voice, got the look. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to be a certain type to play a vampire. Like Jim Carrey played a vampire, not so convincing. I think that was pre In Living Color, I believe. Once Bitten.
Once Bitten.
It's actually a funny movie. I would recommend that if no one's seen it to give it a view. It's your kind of quintessential 80s, you know, teen coming of age movie. He gets seduced by this MILF vampiress, and she doesn't complete the process, and so it's pretty funny.
Go ahead and talk it up a minute. I'm sending it.
Oh, all right.
Scotty's getting ready to go live, so I'm checking something real quick.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Just getting back to Voyager for a second. Would you guys have loved to have seen a Voyager movie? I know they had a few books after the show. I always felt it was a missed opportunity. I just don't know where they would have gone with it after they got back to Earth, or after they got home, after Admiral Janeway had brought him home. I would have been more interested in a DS9 movie, and I still think that a season 8 of DS9, kind of what they set up, if they would have gone with what they set up in what we left behind, the documentary, I think that would have been an interesting exploration, or if they would have done a movie on that concept. But Avery Brooks, he's aged, and he's supposed to be a kind of a god. I think the only way that bringing Avery Brooks back would work would be if they do like a 2001 Space Odyssey Dave Bowman situation, where they show him in various stages of his life. If he's supposed to be non-corporeal, to show him as like a fetus, or to show him as an old man like he is now, or what he was like before he had the goatee.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen's portrayal was just Funny.
Yeah, that was Dracula Dead and Loving It, right?
Yeah. Funny stuff.
Yeah. The Federation was at war with the Dominion, but that ended. That was the last episode of DS9. Wrapped the whole thing up, and they went to celebrate, and then he got into an epic battle with Gul Dukat. Yeah, and then they died. That was Beverly D'Angelo? Are you sure, RR? I didn't think that. I thought that was some other actress that played the female vampire in Once Bitten. I thought it was. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look that up now because I think that Beverly D'Angelo was too young to be that vampire. Hold on.
I'm looking now. Yeah, she's the vacation mom. Woohoo! She had nude scenes in her movies on the vacation. A couple of the vacation movies.
Lauren Hutton. That's who was the.
She does look a lot like Lauren Hutton a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah. Wow, she was like 45 years old when she did that movie. This looks pretty good for 45. Wait, when that movie come out? Oh, like 42. Okay. Wow, that movie's from 1985? Holy shit. I thought it was like 1989. I didn't realize that was Man, Jim Carrey must have been grinding it out in obscurity for years before he hit In Living Color. Wow, trying to get along in Hollywood must suck. You think you've got your big break and then you don't? How'd that movie do? That movie didn't do yeah, for some reason the critics really panned that movie, but it was a fun movie. It was fun. I mean, I wouldn't say it was Shakespeare or anything, but you know, it was a good time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, then we had that Mamby Pamby vampire movie they had a while back that was real popular.
Oh yeah, the Twilight bullshit. Yeah.
Clam. Let's see, how old is she now? Beverly was born November 15th, 1951.
Beverly D'Angelo?
Yeah.
What does she look like now?
Let's take a look. Images.
Oh, well, yeah, she looks like a woman of her age. She's only 5'2"? Holy crap.
She's the same height as my wife. Okay. Yeah, I checked first to make sure there wasn't any Beverly D'Angelo nudes. I think these two right here are probably the most closest to current. Yeah, I think this one here. This is from 2017.
Yeah.
All right, I don't think I'll scroll no more because.
Well, yeah, she showed her
that
boobs
far.
off a lot. Yeah, showed her boobs off in a lot of different stuff.
Yeah,
I can't watch The Jerk because when I first got my glasses, my older brother kept telling me that I was going to go cross-eyed when I was a kid, and I can't watch that movie. Sorry. It's already traumatic enough wearing really thick glasses. American Werewolf in London. Yeah, that is great. They did another one, American Werewolf in Paris, and that one was meh. It was okay.
Just checking something real quick.
What they call that? The OptiGrab. See, I still remember. I remember. I'm. The trauma. See, I'm either going to need to hit the bottle or listen to some Tony Robbins again now that I've been triggered.
Yeah, I was just checking the control room on YouTube, and when you do that, it'll tell you whether your connection is excellent or not. Everything is green. That's good. Awesome. I hardly ever go to the control room, because I'm in StreamYard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't either.
Because I remember at one point I learned how to set my stream latency, and I remember I had set it, and when I set it there, because when the first couple times when I tried live streaming, I had orange lit up and yellow, and until I changed it to low latency, and then it turned green. And that
That's
seemed
weird
to be
how that.
the magic solution there.
All right, I'm sharing it. I just want to play the clip that traumatized me so that I can therapeutically get over it. Fuck.
When OptiGrab came out, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And I bought a pair. And this is the result.
Oh, God. Yeah. I need to listen to Tony Robbins and, Walk on Fire again. I'm traumatized.
Traumatized.
Yep.
All right, let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
Funny stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, Catherine Zeta does look amazing. Although either her or someone else been using a little bit too much Botox in the lip area. There's such a thing as too much Botox.
Yeah, when you can't move your face, that's probably about time to, dial it back a little bit.
Because that stuff's doing nerve damage to your face with too much of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't meant to be used the way they're using it so much. It was meant for little tiny bits here and there.
Yeah,
so
wasn't that supposed to
become rubber?
Yeah, wasn't that supposed to be used for a different purpose? Facial tics or some shit?
I'm not sure, but more than likely, yeah.
Weird. So Tardisone wants to know what the worst movie you watched is. He says his is Blair Witch Project 2, Book of Shadows. Fell asleep. Was that bored? The worst movie I've ever seen? Holy crap, I've tried to block that out. The worst movie I've ever seen. Well, the worst movie I've recently tried to watch would probably be A Stitch in Time. That was a really bad movie. I think Highlander 2 was a really bad movie. Well, it was a really bad sequel. It was The Last Jedi before The Last Jedi was The Last Jedi. It was that canon destroying. Like aliens from planet Zeist? What the fuck? Like your Highlanders, not aliens from planet Zeist.
I'm telling Scotty that we're going to be there in a minute.
Oh, okay. I need to grab some dinner, man. I may be there in a little bit, in a few. But I'll probably grab dinner and then I'll head over to his webcast.
Yeah, he's live right now and he's only got 5 watching. Let's go over there and help him out. I'm going to go over there on his panel, and I hope you guys come over there come over there with us. So Wes will be there in a little bit after he eats something. I'll probably eat a little something myself too, and I'll be in the chat while I'm eating something. Then I'm going to be on Scotty's panel, and I'll make sure you get the yard link, Wes. Yeah.
Sounds good.
We'll make it a party.
Party. It's in the chat there, RR.
Again, that's Scotty's link to his Proud to Be American Sporking News Dump. News of the Woke. I'm just letting them know we'll be there in a little bit.
Oh, nice. I see our people showing up right now.
Just so you guys know, there will be a Four Horsemen show later on tonight. So that way Final can come on and we can have some fun, some shits and giggles. Okie dokie. So we will see you a little later, right around between 9 and 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So look for the link a little bit later, and we'll have some shits and giggles, and we'll have some fun. So thank you, everybody, for coming out, and you're the best chat in the area. And you're the best community, and without you, it wouldn't be a thing, it wouldn't be no fun. We appreciate you. Hail to the Phantom Menace, and hail to you, hail to everybody, and happy birthday to the United States of America.
Hail.
See ya. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. See you next time.